Hello and welcome to the Ariman Show. As always, I'm your host Ariman Upasni, and today I will be previewing the third test match of the Border Gavaskar Trophy that is to be played at Gabba in Brisbane. Now, as we head into the third test, India and Australia both have won a test match each, and we're going into a tiebreaker test that is going to be full of action, a very promising test match, a very entertaining one for sure. And let's talk about it right now. All right, so time for the GABA test. A lot of Indians would have been waiting for this test, especially because traditionally it's been an Australian fortress until the last time we went there and made a very daring comeback, scoring almost 300 runs in a single day, winning the test match and winning the series as well. So it brings a lot of good memories for us from the last time, and the Indian fans will be hoping that we continue the good memories this time as well. After all, like I said, this is going to be a tiebreaker game. India dominated in Perth, Australia dominated in Adelaide. We'll have to look who clinches, um, we'll have to look who edges past this time around in Gabba. Because if you look ahead in the schedule, you have Melbourne and then you have Sydney. Melbourne, a lot of people say, is kind of advantageous to the Indians. It suits well for the Indian team. And Sydney, you don't know if the game is going to end in a win or lost result. A lot of times it's a draw. And there's also possibilities of rains, and we've seen that happen many times during the previous editions of the Border Gavaskar Trophy. So this match particularly becomes of great importance because if you win this match, not only are you two up, leading the series, but then if you're Team India going into Melbourne, you not only have an extra match against over Australia, you also have some advantage or some upper hand going into Melbourne, which suits you really well. So, a lot to talk about how this test could unfold, and a lot to talk about the past two test matches and what we could learn from it. So, let's just take a look at what from the last two test matches we've observed is India's problems and what could really trouble them. Uh, Starting off, India has a very good set of openers. Yashasvi Jaiswal and KL Rahul. They've been in very good touch. They're playing well. Uh, it was a bad day for them. In the second test match, they did not perform enough as much as we wanted them to or as much as we expected them to. But in their own way, they did contribute a bit, but it wasn't enough. And the reason is the number three, number four, number five, the upper and middle lower order isn't going really well for India. Um, Again, like I said, Shubman Gill not really a part of this list, but the only problem with Shubman Gill right now is that he's having great starts. He's getting those 30s and 40s, but he's not able to convert them into those 50s or hundreds, which could be match changing innings. So he's not able to do that. And I'm sure that must be going on around in his head as well. So that is one problem India is facing right now, and if they can find a solution to that, that would be absolutely amazing. Gautam Gambhir has played with Shubman Gill in the past in Kolkata, and they've known each other quite a while. So maybe Gautam Gambhir would have a solution for this problem. Uh, Coming down the order, we have Virat Kohli and we have Rohit Sharma, number four and number five, or number four and number six. Uh, what more do I need to say? I mean, we've seen them play in 2024 in test matches, and their form has been abysmal. The only positive we have on Virat Kohli is that he scored a century in the second innings of the first test match on a comparatively considerably flatter pitch. But in the second game, when the ball started swinging, seeming a bit We saw the same problems reemerge. We saw Kohli, literally, we saw Kohli, hitting the ball directly to the slip, first slip, similarly to what he did in the first match. It was almost as if he was giving catching practice to the slips. And then again, in the second innings, we saw him trying to play a shot on the fifth stump, on the sixth stump, and then edging it back to the keeper or to the slips. And somewhere I get why he's trying to attempt those shots. One reason that I feel is that he is not as confident right now in Test cricket. And usually, when you're not confident, what you try to do is you try to go for runs. You try to hit a few boundaries, score a few runs, get your confidence back, and then you can cruise through the innings if you have a good start when it comes to Virat Kohli. And I feel he's trying to do the same. He's trying to get some runs early on, but that is hurting him more than helping him because when he tries to do that, he edges the ball straight to the keeper or to the slips, and hence he gets out early on. Like I've said earlier, he should, start leaving those balls. Obviously, as a batsman, when you're on the ground, it's not such an easy thing to do. You have to actively leave the balls. But I really don't think there's any other way than this than to, actively start leaving those balls outside the fourth stump or fifth stump that you know are not going to come in. So that is one thing that Virat Kohli can do, and that the Indian management can help him do at this point. And obviously, referencing Sachin Tendulkar, how he left the balls that were outside the off stump for an entire match because he too was getting out in a similar fashion at one point. And so what he did was he left the balls and he played an entire innings without playing a shot outside off stump, and he did score good in that match. So probably, like I have said this again a lot of times before, but if Virat Kohli replicates this, it will be probably helpful for him. The rest is up to him, and the Indian management will have to see what they do to provide a solution for this. Uh, Another massive batting problem that India has is Rohit Sharma. Um, to be honest, Rohit Sharma, I never really, as a fan, I never really thought he would be the problem in the Indian team because he has mostly been the solution to our problems, to our batting problems, whether as an opener or even now as a captain. He was the solution to a few things wrong in the Indian team. And for him to be playing like this, it kind of hurts. And that is why you can also see why Gautam Gambhir decided to keep KL Rahul as the opening batsman and then push Rohit Sharma down to number five or number six so that he can get a bit comfortable, play those shots when the ball has softened up a bit and isn't swinging as much as the new ball does when he opens the innings. And so again, uh, this match, a lot of people have been saying maybe Rohit Sharma opens, but I really think it should be KL Rahul opening because he has been in good touch with the new ball. You really don't want to mess that up. If Yashasvi Jaiswal and KL Rahul are opening the innings and are settling down quick, are helping the team, playing a lot of balls, scoring good runs, you don't really need to mess with what's not wrong. Instead, keep Rohit Sharma down at number five, number six. Adelaide, we saw him getting dismissed in a very amateurish way with the ball coming in. Uh, but again, I think because it's Adelaide, because it was the pink ball, it swings um, for a long time. And comparatively, if we see Rohit Sharma did come in comparatively quickly because even the lower, the number one to number four, they did not play a lot. So he had to come in at a time when there was still good lacquer on the ball. The ball was still swinging, and uh, unfortunately, he got dismissed. But in Gabba, while I have seen some images where the pitch is very green, Um, it's a red ball test. So if the openers do their job well, if the number three, number four does the job well, plays a lot of balls, scores a good amount of runs, and you bring in Rohit Sharma in a very non-pressure time, I think he can do well. I think he can improve, but the improvement has to be very drastic. Otherwise, it's only going to cost the Indian team and nothing else. In the bowling, I don't really see a problem in India. You have India's two best pacers right now, Bumrah and Siraj. Siraj did look a bit off in the start of the second test, but as the test went on, he improved a lot. And then he got into that rhythm that he usually does, and he played really well. Uh, the only negative from that test match was Harshit Rana's performance. You did not see him play the same way he did in the first test match. He did look a bit uncomfortable. Um, but I think, yes, each player does have bad days. But so now the question remains is for the test match, is it Harshit Rana who remains as India's third pacer? Or is it Akashdeep who comes back? Because Akashdeep has been in and around this Indian squad for quite some time, especially in Test cricket in 2024. There was Mukesh Kumar and there was Akashdeep. These two players have been in and around the Indian squad for quite some time. And when Harshit Rana was chosen over Akashdeep, there some eyebrows were raised. But again, the core question is, does Akashdeep replace Harshit Rana? Um, in my opinion, if the Indian team wants to play it safe, if the Indian management wants to play it safe, they will drop Harshit Rana, bring in Akashdeep because he can swing the ball really well and he has that pace. And, I mean, even Harshit Rana can swing and has the pace, but Akashdeep is in good touch and he can do well for India. But kind of, I have a gut feeling that maybe India will go for Harshit Rana in the third test match as well. I mean, Harshit Rana played in KKR under Gautam Gambhir's mentorship. So Gautam Gambhir and even Abhishek Nair to a very good extent, they know his mindset, they know his thought process, they know how he plans to come back. So I think they will back Harshit Rana here, and I feel you could see Harshit Rana back in the third test match. Overall, I don't see any changes happening in the Indian side, in the Indian playing 11 from the last test match to this one. I don't particularly think India will think of replacing Ravi Ashwin with Washington Sundar because Ashwin did bowled really well in the last test match, and even a few shots that he played while he was on the pitch for a very brief time, he played them well. So I do have confidence in Ashwin's bowling, and even if Washington Sundar can bat better than Ashwin, I think you can always count on Ashwin. You know, he's been in tough pressure situations a lot of times, way more than Washington Sundar has, and I think he knows how to overcome them, and he has the ability to overcome them. So I think Ashwin has to be your only spinner. Meanwhile, Rishabh Pant and Nitish Kumar Reddy, both players in phenomenal touch, untouchables. No one can touch them at any point. I mean, they are the only team India is able to reach those scores of 180 to 200. Imagine if in the last test match you did not have Rishabh Pant or Nitish Kumar Reddy, you'd be down around 100, 120. So these two players in great touch, great asset to the team. Uh, Moving on to what could be Australia going into this third test match. Australia do have some troubles themselves. I mean, they're not a very great team at this point. They dominated Adelaide, sure, but look at the performance in Perth. It is similar to what India did in Adelaide. So it was kind of vice versa, where in Perth it was Yashasvi Jaiswal's 160 and KL Rahul 70. In Adelaide it was Travis Head's 140 and Manas Labuschane's 60. So it's kind of very vice versa kind of thing that India did well in Perth, Australia did well in Adelaide. But how Australia performed in Perth and how India performed in Adelaide is also very similar. And the problems that Australia is facing right now is also kind of similar to India. Because if you see Usman Khwaja and McSweeney, both are players in good touch, but they're not being able to convert their starts. You saw in the past test match as well, Usman Khwaja had a few good shots, McSweeney had a few good shots, but you could not see them converting that into a long innings. Similarly, you go down to number three, number four, Manas Labuschagne and Steve Smith. Manas Labuschagne, until the last test match, he was struggling a bit. We could see in Perth how he played. He scored, I think, 2 runs in 50 balls or something, and then he got dismissed. So you could see him struggling before that. Now, was the Adelaide test match a turning point? We don't know. We'll have to see. But if we look at things in the long term, Manas Labuschagne has been struggling a bit, and so is Steve Smith. I mean, Steve Smith's struggles are very visible. You put anything with a bit of in swing to Steve Smith, and you'll have him bowled or worse, LBW'd. And that kind of all lies boils down to his technique, but we won't talk in depth about his technique right now. Other than that, you could see Mitchell Marsh and Travis Head. These are again two players who are doing fairly well for Australia. Um, like India, you have three, four players in the batting order who are doing really well, and then you have three players who are doing not so well. It's the same situation with the Aussies. Bowling wise, it's the same situation. They too have a very banger bowling lineup. Mitchell Stark, Pat Cummins, Josh Hazelwood. Similarly to Bumrah, Siraj, Rana, or if it so happens this time, Akashdeep. We now also know Australia's playing 11 for tomorrow, and it's pretty much the same except this one change of Hazelwood. Hazelwood comes back in for Scott Boland. Hazelwood was injured during the second test, hence he was replaced by Scott Boland. And now that Hazelwood is fit, he's back in the squad, and Scott Boland is out. But mind you, Scott Boland, even if he was in there for just one test match, he did a phenomenal job. He bowled really well, and you could see that even during the Prime Minister 11's match. Uh, so overall, the bowling lineup that Australia has and the form they are in, it's great. It's one of the best in the world right now, similarly to India's. So it's kind of two very, very balanced teams, almost kind of similar to each other, playing in Gabba, trying to edge over each other. So it's, like I said, going to be a very entertaining game. And I mean, it's not just one test match, it's the entire series. Like I said, if India win in Gabba, they go to Melbourne with an upper hand. Whereas if Australia win in Gabba, they'll go to Melbourne thinking, okay, India has an upper hand here. We'll have to somehow spoil the celebration. And Sydney is unpredictable because, like I said, it could end up in a draw or there could be rains. Um, so Australia would be hoping to win the Gabba test and doing a major upset in Melbourne even. Whereas India hoping for a victory in Gabba and then cruising a bit in Melbourne because at the end of the day, whoever wins the series will have a shot at the WTC final. Because as things are right now, South Africa have confirmed the spot uh, if things go the way they are going right now, and it is going to be between India and Australia. Who gets that one final spot? Does India win this series 3-1 or maybe 4-1? Or does Australia manage to spoil India's plans and tie this tournament up 2-2 or maybe even win this one 3-1? So either case, if this series ties, then it's all over to Australia versus Sri Lanka, and that's an entire different ball game. So that we're not going to talk about that right now. We'll talk about that some other day. But yes, a lot riding on both the teams, a lot of pressure on both the teams too, because of the problems that they are facing in batting, especially. So it will be fun to see what happens tomorrow morning. Uh, it's going to be a 5 a.m. wake up call for me because test match starts around 5:36 in India. So it's going to be an early morning for me, it seems. But till then, take care, enjoy. I'll be back with the review once the test match is over. Till then, ciao, sayonara.